Hey YouTube land, Tycanders here doing another action figure review, and today we are having a look at another Super7 Reaction Plus action figure. Now this isn't one of their G.I. Joe lines. They kind of started the Reaction Plus stuff with the G.I. Joe, doing kind of cartoon versions of O-ring figures based on either from the cartoon itself, from the Sunbow animation, or from the early 80s, well, late 80s G.I. Joe cartoon movie that came out before Rise of Cobra, if you're not familiar with it. Similar are along the veins of the Transformers, the movie that came out with the animation first, and then they did a G.I. Joe one based off the success of the Transformers one. They did change a few things around for it, but that's beside the point. Today, we are looking at their Universal Monsters figure line, and there is it 4 figures or 3? Sorry, 3 figures in this wave, I believe. Yes, there's 3 figures in this wave if I look at the back of the card back, but we'll have a look at that in a second. But this is the Bela Lugosi as Dracula, or Count Dracula if you want to be more specific, or the Count. The artwork for the box is amazing. Now, I picked this up at Big Bad Toy Store. You can see it's unpunched as well. That's the way it came to me. I don't know if all of them shipped out would be like that, but it is quite nice. Now, I did have, when I got this, the packaging at the side here was a bit cracked. That doesn't bother me too much because I was planning on opening it anyway, but it's just a thing to be wary of. So if I flip around the back of the box, you have a bio card similar to what you would get with the old G.I. Joe figures, but then it has horror and troll show horror action figures. And then the other figures, they don't show images of them, but they have them listed here for the full wave. So you have the creature from the Black Lagoon, or the Gillman, as it became to be known. You have Lon Chaney as the Wolfman, which is the old original style Wolfman, kind of howling werewolf character. And then you have Bela as his Dracula. It is interesting, I believe Lon Chaney also did a Mummy film, or was it a Frankenstein? Lon Chaney did a different horror franchise as well, but he's mostly known for Wolfman. And then the bio reads Dracula. Name, Count Dracula. Birthplace, Transylvania. And then you have Count Dracula is a centuries-old vampire who resides in a decaying castle in Transylvania. With his artistic demeanor and hypnotic gaze, Dracula lures unsuspecting victims to sustain his immortality by drinking the blood. His journey to London brings terror as he seeks new prey, but he has to face the brave efforts of Professor Van Helsing and his allies. And then you just have the legalese stuff at the bottom, and then you have an image of Bela as well. I think it's the same cover art. Looks the same actually, yeah. You can just see the hand off to the side. It's just done in black and white, but it is a great rendition of the late Bela Lugosi, or the great late Bela Lugosi. So that is it for the packaging. We're going to readjust and have a closer look at the figure, so bear with me while we do that. So here is the figure in all his glory. So before we get into any actual articulation or anything like that, we'll go and grab a tape measure and bring it in. So you can see he's in the 3.75 inch scale. He's kind of closer to 4, but it is around that 3.75 to 4 inches in scaling. Now for accessories, he only comes technically with 2, but he only comes with 1 that is loose in the box, and he comes with this tiny, I'm not sure if you can even see it, it is a candelabra. It is in the shape of a kind of a dragon, kind of has a dragon, kind of almost dragon motif thing going on, but he can hold it in his hand. It's not the best grip, but he can hold it in his hand. Actually, I think I have it backwards. That way. Yes, he can hold it in his hand. and you can have him stalking the castle at night with the candle. But he's pretty cool. For articulation wise, he is kind of similar to what you would expect from a standard G.I. Joe O-ring figure. So, the other accessory is this cape. It's already on him in the box, but it is technically removable if you wanted. It's on one of those stretchy string things that can go over his head, so you can have him in just the suit, but it doesn't look as good. You can see there's a screw hole on the back for where the O-ring goes. He looks way better with it. The material it is made out of is fairly solid. It's not as pliable as the cape that came with Serpentor, but we will have a look at him when I'm doing comparisons to this in a little bit. So we'll just stretch this back over his head. I would stress that depending on how he is stored, that little bit of material might overstretch over time, or it might snap depending if it's kept in like somewhere that's too dry and cold or damp or anything like that. It might affect the material, so that there is a possibility you might have to replace it at some point. But for arms, he can go up that much. You can rotate all the way around. You can just move the cape slightly out of the way to get the full 360. You have a single joint elbow, just like on most O-rings. He does have the bicep swivel, but it's a little bit lower down, closer to the elbow than most G.I. Joe figures. As usually their bicep swivel was up here, but it is a closer cut. I do love the fact that they actually sculpted on the little ring on his finger as well. So he has one plain hand, one hand with the ring on it. Now, he doesn't have any articulation in the wrist, which is a shame. I think they would have made it pop a little bit more if they could have incorporated that. I know later G.I. Joe lines and a few other kind of similar O-ring style lines have kind of made that leap where they added in that little extra bit of articulation. He does have the waist swivel because it is an O-ring. You get all the usual kind of O-ring goodness. You can get him into a seated position should you want him driving a vehicle of any kind. Maybe if you have a in-scale hearse that he could drive around in, but more than likely he would be in the coffin in the back. You have a single jointed knee. There's no swivel or anything like that. He does have peg holes like a standard O-ring figure, and then nothing in the ankle like the standard style of O-ring figure. So, oh, and his head. I nearly forgot his head. His head is more just on a swivel side to side than the full kind of bobble 360 like later O-rings, but that is pretty cool. So for comparison, the other Super 7 Reaction Plus figure I have is Serpentor, so I will bring him in so you can see him in all his glory next to Dracula. I have an older style, more common Hasbro O-ring version or Serpentor, which I will bring in as well for scale comparison. And then the other O-ring figure that I dug out is a old Cobra, I think it's a Cobra Claw from early 2000s, where they kind of went more chunky with the body design. And you can see he stands quite well next to that. And then for a femme fatale, we'll bring in the unofficial Ada Wong figure. So you can have Dracula trying to use his hypnotic charm on his female prey. Well, he knocks everyone over. We'll do the "You're under my spell," where she wields a machine gun towards him. So you can see it is like, if you're going with pure 4-inch scale, he is a little underscaled. If you're going for other O-ring style figures, he looks not too bad next to him. In fact, we'll bring in another retro figure, and we'll just move Ada out of the way, or unofficial Ada. And we'll bring in a more classic retro Kenner style. So the idea of the Reaction Plus is they're kind of designed to look like the old Kenner style figures, but have more articulation, where they simplified the designs for the heads and stuff on the old vintage Kenner stuff. and even some of the other reaction figures like this is the Githyanki reaction figure. The one for Bella here looks actually quite detailed. It's actually like it would look just as good on a proper, like a more articulated 4-inch scale body, something similar akin to, like, you know, a higher toys figure. It would actually work just as well on one of those. It is that nicely sculpted. In fact, some of the other style figures that are done in that kind of reaction style, if I can bring one in just to showcase my point. Only knock everything over because we'll bring in Al from the Married with Children, so you can see what I mean. His face is very simplified. The details are kind of very soft. They're there. You can tell it's supposed to be Ed O'Neill, but you can also tell it's not, you know, screen accurate to Ed O'Neill, whereas the Bela Lugosi one looks almost like he popped off the screen, which is kind of cool. And then just for some fun, we'll move Indy out of the way. We'll bring in another femme fatale. Well, not femme fatale. We'll bring in Peg, where Al can beat up Dracula for trying to put the moves on his missus, or I would imagine in pure Married with Children style, he'd be kind of going, why would you want Peg, kind of thing. So yes, you can have some fun crossover stuff with figures that are in a similar scale. So overall, he's not a bad figure. I do recommend picking him up. Now, as I said, I picked mine up from Big Bad Toy Store. I think he was around the $20 price point. So they are kind of a little bit pricey for what they are. I do want to get the Creature from the Black Lagoon because I have an old what's the name, Burger King version of him that's in a similar scale that I would like to compare him to, if I can dig it out and find out where I put it. But it is kind of similar to the old, because back in the day there was a Universal Monsters line. Like Super 7 have done the Universal Monsters a few times. For Dracula, I think they did a glow-in-the-dark version. They've done a standard version, which has the... where is it now? I suppose... yeah, they have done a standard version, which has the more Kenner style, just 5 points articulation, whereas these new Reaction Plus kind of ups their game a little bit. So I opted to go for the newer style. I hope they kind of go back in some of their older properties they've done and kind of give it the Reaction Plus treatment. I'd be absolutely ecstatic if they went back and redid some of their previous lines. And one of the lines they did do was this. They did a reaction style, I believe. I'm pretty sure it was Super 7 and not Funko, because Funko did a whole bunch of reaction stuff as well. But I think it was Super 7 did these, because whichever company did it did a whole bunch of multicolored versions. But if they still have licensing for it, I would love to see them go back and give this the alien from Alien, or Xenomorph from Alien, because it has that cool little piece on the head that you ping the clear dome piece out and it can open and do its mouth. I would love to see them do that. And the other line that they did Super 7 have done reaction for, and I know they have done it, is the Masters of the Universe cartoon based characters. So there's like Skeletor, Trapjaw and all those kind of guys. It would be cool to see them do Reaction Plus versions maybe of them, so you could have actually O-ring versions of like old He-Man figures that were never a thing before. So gonna wrap this up here. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I hope you enjoyed watching it from wherever you are in the world. Please hit that like and subscribe button. It really goes a long way to help promote my channel and keep it going. And as always, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you found it entertaining and informational. So again, cheers for watching, and thanks again.